According to the Oxford Dictionary, the term gateway refers to a means of access or entry to a place. For example, Mombasa, the gateway to East Africa. Or it can also refer to a means of achieving a state or condition. For example, curiosity is the gateway to learning. In the world of addictions, the term gateway drug became very popular in the 1960s and 70s as an attempt to bring attention to the war on drugs. The gateway theory of substance abuse says that if an individual starts using milder substances, such as alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, they are much more likely to use harder illegal drugs eventually, because those milder substances are considered a gateway into other drugs. Although from a scientific point of view, that theory doesn't hold very well in this day and age because we've come to understand the brain a bit better, there is some truth to that in the sense that once you open a door for drugs, whether alcohol, vaping, or whatever it may be, that door is going to be harder to close than if it were never opened to begin with. In neuroscientific terms, we call those doors or gateways neuropathways. In the spiritual realm, we call those gateways or neuropathways avenues to your soul. And they are mostly considered to be the 5 physical senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. It is through these avenues that people can open those doors to expose the mind and heart to evil influences, temptations, and behaviors that lead us away from God. In Exodus 32, verse 6, we read that they were up early the next morning and began offering burnt offerings and peace offerings to the calf idol. Afterwards, they sat down to feast and drink at a wild party, followed by sexual immorality. Pretty explicit, right? 40 days before they had stood, trembling before God, promising they would follow him. But the change didn't happen overnight. There were gateway behaviors that eventually landed them in a situation where they thought it was okay to worship a golden calf and have a wild party. In Patriarchs and Prophets, we read that during this period of waiting, there was time for them to meditate upon the law of God, which they had heard, and to prepare their hearts to receive the further revelations that he might make to them. They had none too much time for this work. And had they been thus seeking a clearer understanding of God's requirements and humbling their hearts before him, they would have been shielded from temptation. But they did not do this, and they soon became careless, inattentive, and lawless. They returned to their superstitions, they indulged in murmuring and impatience, and the mixed multitude led the rest of Israel into apostasy. So, let us be careful with these gateway behaviors that may not seem so bad at first, but that can eventually lead us down a terrible path of spiritual death. And with that, we come to the end of our nugget. I'll see you tomorrow.